Decentralized Pictures Talent Cast, and in studio today, I am joined by David Bornstein, the creator of the project Zits, that was democratically selected by you, the participants on the Decentralized Pictures platform, as the winner of the latest Filmmaker Assistance Grant #6. I have absolutely loved this award. Receive some money to do with whatever you choose. It could be to pay your rent, go on a vacation, but at the end of the day, we hope that we use it for why we're all here, and that's to put towards your art. And based on your description, David, on the platform, it sounds like there's still some post-production work on this project, so I think it's going to be
hmm
put to good use, and we'll dive into that. So first of all, David, welcome to the Talent Cast.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Yeah, yeah. So this is great. I've seen you around the community for some time now. I've seen Zits pop up this project on a couple other awards, and so it's great to see it rise to the top and be selected as the winner for this award. So before we jump into the project itself, tell us a little bit about yourself and your history of being a filmmaker.
Well, I'm born and raised in Southern California, Orange County to be specific, and I currently live in Los Angeles now. I, you know, went to two film schools. I went to Saddleback College in Mission Viejo, and then I transferred to University of Arizona. So Tucson was my home for about 3 years after that. And yeah, I came back. I did some, menial work while I was trying to get my foot in the door to have a day job in the industry, which I do. I have since managed to do what I love steadily for about almost 10 years now. So grateful for that. And parallel to that, in my last year or so at film school, I started to figure out how to make shorts on my own, not really as a part of uh, anything in film school. I just went out and tried to make something for myself. Um,
Mhm.
and I think one or two, no, two shorts later after I graduated, uh, this short film I made called A King's Betrayal, um, you know, did a pretty good run on the festival circuit and still kind of floats around in the world to this day. Um, and that got me. Uh, it was my first taste of you know the reaping the rewards, I guess.
Mhm.
Uh, and yeah, I've been hooked since then. I've made two other shorts since then, and as we are here to discuss, I am currently in post production on my latest one at the
Right.
moment. Uh, but that's it in a very simple nutshell.
I love it. Well, that's awesome. Obviously, you hail from an area that's known for the filmmaking business, and
hmm
a lot of creative works happening in Orange County and greater Los Angeles area. So, and I love hearing that you're able to do what you love. That there's some sustainability there, that there's a lot to be said for that, to be able to, and we'd like to think that Decentralized Pictures, we're trying to push that mission, that objective for more people to be able to do what they love for a living.
hmm
So great to hear that. All right, so tell us a little bit about. I always like to hear the origin stories of people discovering Decentralized Pictures. I feel like still at times that we're still the best kept secret that's out there in the filmmaking business. The word is slowly, organically getting out, and we like to see more and more people join the platform. But still, there's a lot of people that have not discovered DCP, and I think it's only a matter of time before we're no longer the best kept secret. So tell us about your journey in discovering Decentralized Pictures and choosing to participate on the platform.
Oh gosh. Well, it's hard for me to remember exactly what brought me to you guys, but I can sort of sum it up generally speaking. I want to say it makes sense to me that this probably would have been 3 years ago. Um, and I can tell you basically that I was in a place where this would have been when we were in the early pre-production phase of Zits. I think I was in a situation where I a promise was made to me that I slowly began to realize wasn't going to be kept. And so, as someone in my position would do, I think I just started to look for avenues to, anything that would remotely have a chance of supporting a short film production like mine. And I think, at a certain point, you Google and you Bing or whatever, you search for these grant opportunities, funding
Mhm.
opportunities for shorts, and these are so limited that at a certain point you do hit the end of that, you know, those search results. Um, and I can't for the life of me remember what my exact path was to finding you guys, but I do know that what stood out to me is it's interesting because I my short film A King's Betrayal has a little bit of a history with Roman Coppola. We were actually a top five finalist in the Francis Ford Coppola short film competition the year Roman was judging it. So that's
Wow.
what stood out to me as okay, this seems pretty cool. This seems pretty legitimate.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and why not give it a shot? And I think I really had to. I can't remember exactly how many it's been that I've really like tried my hand at this because I think like this thing really like just kept like as I had like nothing attached to this project at the time like eventually like it just kind of grew on its own as I was sort of figuring things out outside of this. And so like as things became more fleshed out, so did my uh attempts at entering these grant rounds. Uh until like eventually I finally have a sort of fleshed out project where I can kind of present that a lot more easily. But I mean, this movie has been a in the best and worst way, a giant time suck. Like I can't remember exact details on who I talked to about when and how I found certain things. It's all it was. This one has been a for what it is my most massive project in scale to date. But it is definitely going to show when it's done. And I'm very excited about that. But the particulars of how certain things came to be are a bit lost on me in the haze of the fighting my way through the fog, if you will.
Right, right. Well, that's that's an incredible journey, and I love to hear that connection. With Roman,
Hmm.
and being a finalist for that award. So that's awesome to have that connection there, and it's even greater to hear that that you were chosen as the winner, and financially able to receive a little extra capital to put towards the production of Zits, and it's going to be sounds like your biggest project to date. So congratulations on that, and glad that DCP is able to support and
Thank
in
you.
some way. In some ways. So, okay, so let's dive into Zits. So tell us
Hmm.
about the project. How it was originally conceived, and where you're at in that journey.
Sure. So I am going to be a little. Um, I'm going to hold back some details on how it came to be. I
Sure,
will say
sure.
that this project has some very uh, personal origins, and there will come a time when I'm ready to talk about that at length. But
Mhm.
I want to finish this thing first and let it get out into the world, and then I'll get into all the ugly shit. Um, but I had a breakdown, and after therapy, I kind of was just sitting with myself, and I didn't really have. I inadvertently achieved that like clear state of mind that you're always trying to find in meditation. But I just had like you know I was just like a comatose husk basically. And it's funny how it all works out, because when I was really young, to rewind farther back, I had this very like I once popped this very gnarly zit on my leg, and I won't get into all the disgusting details, but at the end of it, I bled a little bit, and I just had that like weird thought of like, what if someone died that way? And as I began to take more of an interest in filmmaking, that idea never really left my head. Like there was always this, I really love like karmic short form horror tales, like anthologies, movies and shows like Tales from the Dark Side, uh Tales from the Hood, Creep Show, Tales from the Dark Side, Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror, all of that stuff. Really, I took a natural liking to, and I didn't have anything real to wrap around that idea at first. I just had like a boy stuff. My cat was getting into the trash. I Yeah, so I just had like bare bones. I didn't have anything to make it feel like a real movie. And for how much of you know when you're really trying to make it, oh boy, no, you're no covering that. For how much work it is to make something actually good, and the shit that goes into it, it's got to be worthwhile. So I'm not a believer in making stuff just to make stuff. I
Right.
do it. um I wanted to really live the fullest life that it can. So it just sat in my head. The skeleton just lived in like the back closet of my mind. And then
Mhm.
flash forward to that moment, and then I suddenly had like a vision, and it was that story. But all of a sudden, I knew everything I needed, like down to like everything about who my main character was, all of the subtextual details around it. Like all of a sudden, everything was just very clear. I wrote the first draft over the course of a week, and just I just wrote it because I needed to write it. I wasn't thinking about practicalities. Oh, what I have access to, what I don't have access to. Uh,
Mhm.
I just needed to do it. Um, and the thing was crazy, and I didn't know how I was going to make it. Um, I mean, I had a couple people, friends of mine, talk about potentially backing whatever the next thing I made was. Um, and so, I started bringing it back around to people, and everyone really responded um, to what I had. And then about a month later, um, I was at a wonderful film festival in Provo, Utah called Film Quest. If you don't know it, oh boy, see, this is what happens.
Furry pets like to make their appearance. They
he
don't like
they
it
are
when they
very
give they don't like it when they give your attention elsewhere, you know?
well. I
Who
had to
would have
like, well,
thought?
check this out, Matt. I had to put these towers up because my boy figured out how to unplug my internet to get my attention.
That's a
Like
smart cat.
I He's a very smart cat. He's a very smart boy who loves his papa, and he wants attention when he wants it, but he will get it later. Um, Whereas my baby girl, she's just so unbothered. Right.
Very content,
uh,
very content.
Very content. So where was I? Okay, so yeah, a month later, I was at Film Quest, and in a true aligning of the stars kind of moment. Movie Maker magazine was out there, and they were scouting for projects for their production services program, wherein they would partner. If they were looking for filmmakers and projects that they liked, that they wanted to partner with, who were partially financed, and essentially like their whole deal was, for people who don't know about how this aren't familiar with this program or how it works or why it was a big deal for us, is essentially you had to have like a minimum amount of your partial financing secured that you would give to them, uh, write a check to them, and essentially what they would then do is in the simplest of terms, they would take that uh, financing, convert it into credit, and double it. And essentially, say for example, you're a vendor or you're a crew member who's willing to play ball on this, in lieu of getting cash for your services, you would defer that if this was of interest to you, and get uh testing me. Uh, you would get that in marketing and advertising through movie makers' various platforms: print, digital, uh, social media. Depending on how much, relative to the value amount it is,
Mhm.
and also that partnership comes with marketing built in. So I'm out there, and I'm well aware of Movie Maker because all of my previous film festival research has been through their annual lists. Um, and I just thought to myself, I don't get these things, but what the hell? They're here, I'm here. I kind of have a project that seems to meet the threshold of what they're looking for. YOLO, why not? Why not just do it to do it, even though I know I'm not going to get it? And
Mhm.
it, I sat down with Deirdre and Tim, and we had a very lovely conversation. We hit it off, and very, organically. And I sent them the script, I sent them a top sheet, I sent them the short I'd done prior to that on Holy Moly, and about a couple months later, after hashing out contract language, we were officially partnered. Um, and it's been a whole ride along the way since then. Not the movie maker side of it. They've been nothing but a blessing to work with. Just other
Mhm.
aspects of production outside of that, it's certainly been one of those rocky ones. But we've as of early last year, we wrapped principal photography, and post is grinding out. But we have a film that is coming together very beautifully, and I'm very excited to put this thing out into the world when it's done. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
And so
that's
how
the
will the money that's received on this award, so $1,500 coming your way,
mhm.
is that going to be
Yeah.
put directly towards post-production activities?
Yes, either animation or VFX, or maybe split
Okay.
between both. That's what it is going to be used towards next.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, congrats. Just getting it to this point. I know it's a journey. It's been a heck of a lot of work just to get to this point. So congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you,
Okay,
Matt.
so one more question for you, and then we'll wrap
Sure.
things up. So it's really around perseverance,
Hmm.
and and I think this is a very important aspect, especially in this career field of being a filmmaker. It is
Hmm.
not the easiest profession to go into. For every yes that you receive, you're going to receive probably a lot of no's in your journey. So talk to us about, even on the Decentralized Pictures platform. I know that you've submitted to a couple other awards. Okay, you didn't disappear. You didn't leave. You stayed at it, and here
Hmm.
we are today. You're I forget how many submissions, but it was a
Me
good
too.
amount that were submitted. It was in the high 20s, I believe,
Is
like
it?
28 to
Jesus
29,
Christ.
something like that. So I mean, there's some quality projects in there, and yours was democratically selected by the community as
Hmm.
the most deserving. Um, but this didn't happen right out of the gate. It took a few tries. So talk to us about, and this is kind of a message for other filmmakers on, the importance of perseverance in this journey of being an independent filmmaker.
Um, well, largely, I would say I've been very perseverant in this because in my situation, I kind of didn't really have a choice. Be Perseverance is what kept this film alive.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to uh, fight, skin of my fingernails kind of shit to really keep this thing together and keep it going. You know, if things fell apart, I didn't know if this would ever get back up and going again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is again very person. This film in particular is very personal to me. So it was all the more motivating for me to really just keep chiseling. Um, I, I think that in the beginning of me attempting things, entering various competitions on Decentralized, I was just figuring out the how it worked. Trying to find a strategy to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think honestly, um, it's funny because I think this victory was probably my most mellow attempt. I think by and large, this really was the community really decided. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
even really put this out there like that. Uh, I'm kind of in a more zen place with the project right now. So I just decided, I'm going to enter it, and maybe I'll tell a couple people in my circle about it, but other than that, I'm just I'm not going to push it like that. And the community decided this was going to be the time that this wins. Um, I you know I think the very first one I entered, I remember was the Roman Coppola That Film I Made award,
Yep.
and that was easier. I had I just put in anything within that time window that I think you know made it made the work eligible for that uh, competition. And then from there, it was like we were still in the early stages of it, so I didn't really have much to present. So you know, it was more just like, well, now that we're at this point, I have a bit more to show for it, so I'll just keep adding stuff as we went along. And now that we've been in post, I have more sites to show, if you will. So um, it's I just kind of took it, one day at a time,
Yep.
uh, and it's been. I mean, the whole process of making this film has been learning a lot of lessons, and this is, uh, you know, s- the lesson of this for me has been like sometimes you just let things go and they will work out how they're supposed to work out. And yeah,
I love
I
that.
I kind of lost my train of thought there
No, no, I
a little
love
bit.
that. No, no,
Hmm.
that's great, and I love how you ended it there with with never stop learning.
Hmm.
No matter the profession, especially in filmmaking, never stop learning, never stop growing. Be open to feedback that's received on the Decentralized Pictures platform. That there's some great experienced filmmakers, and take that feedback in and continue to grow and mature your craft. So great advice for sure. Awesome. Well, David, thanks so much for being on the DCP Talent Cast. Really, really great to have you here, and congratulations on winning this award.
Thank you.
And can't wait to see the final product of Zits. So for those that are just discovering Decentralized Pictures, I always do this with every podcast. Check us out, Decentralized.Pictures. If you're a filmmaker, we've got a couple live awards out there on the platform right now. One is the Base Creators Award, and then also another award, a micro short award as well. So if you qualify, check out the eligibility criteria for both those awards and submit, and then let the community decide who is most deserving of those awards. So thanks again, David. Really appreciate you being here, and all the best to you and your team.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thanks again for everything.
You bet. See ya.